Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast.
Hello, Mr. Bummies.
And hello, Stevie Mans. How goes it?
Goes well. It's very early on a Sunday.
Oh, for me, it's practically still Saturday. That's how early it is on a Sunday. And as you can hear from my voice, I'm on tour and singing, and this is what the mornings sound like. But I get to sound cool until my morning voice shakes off. So that's great.
Well, why don't you do your inner world?
Inner world. See, I don't even have to try with the morning voice. Inner world.
When you do the rundown, you could just start with that.
I will. I'm going to try not to warm up my voice at all as we do this beginning part. Welcome in, everyone, to Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast.
Today's stardate is stardate 2350319.1.
And we're talking about Picard Season 3, Episode 5, entitled Imposters.
Indeed.
Yes. Well, I mean, we think we know who and what and where the imposters are, but we do learn some things that had some concerns for me earlier. Before we get into the episode, though, we got to take care of a little housekeeping.
Join us on Patreon at patreon.com/setphasers.
And that's all.
I'm feeling brief today. Yeah.
That's all you got to know.
We're hooking up next Sunday for a live Zoom session, and we would love to see you there at patreon.com/setphasers.
Indeed. Before my voice warms up, why don't we run it down?
It's time to run it down.
Can you run it down for me? Talk about Picard now. Run it down for me.
In a world where the son of Jean-Luc Picard is dreaming, maybe, he's dressed as a Starfleet officer and walks on the bridge and kills the entire bridge crew, except for one person who he walks up to as they're trying to crawl away, and they say they know who he is, and he, with tears in his eyes, holds a phaser and begins to shoot them. But then his eyes glow red and a voice tells him to come home, one that sounds like his mother. God, that was very satisfying. It was all a dream.
I was ready.
But
Finger was on the button.
You were ready. You were ready the whole time. He does wake up holding a phaser. So this becomes a question for the whole episode. Is he like seeing the future of what he's going to do? Or is he just imagining that he's going to kill people? He's worried about it. I don't know. Anyway, we're back. And the USS Titan, having escaped the crazy nebula, and Captain Vadic are back in Federation space, just the very edge, and they're repairing the ship. And they're worried about how the changeling got on board, despite the fact that there have been protocols to scan people since the Dominion War to make sure that they're not changelings. Riker returns the captaincy of the USS Enterprise to Captain Shaw, who graciously accepts, and then graciously tells them that he's already told on them to Starfleet, and Starfleet is on their way. And then, with even further grace, he leaves the room so that Picard, Riker, and Seven can get their bullshit stories straight. He says, Picard is like, listen, I'll take the brunt of it, whatever's coming, you just throw them to me. Beverly wants to examine the changeling to figure out how they're different than normal changelings, though Picard makes an effort to say, hey, Jack, when Starfleet gets here, there have been many rebels who've joined Starfleet. Jack says, once Starfleet is done with me, I'll be on my way. Meanwhile, on La Sirena, Raffi and Worf are still pursuing their top secret case, and they're sparring in the ship, and Worf is doing all the, you must know your enemies. His aggression allows you to know his weakness, or it's whatever. An encrypted message comes in from Worf's handler. Remember, Worf is Raffi's handler, so we're going up the ladder of handlers. And the encrypted message says they are denied access to Daystrom Station, which is what they were hoping to go, and they must find another way to expose what may or may not be going on. After being upset about this, Worf just said, I have another lead. We're going to look for this other person in Sneed's circle, somebody by the name of Kryn, a kingpin of the Vlashi crime syndicate. So Worf and Raffi head on down to Matalas IV, District 6. Everyone is scared of them because of what they did to the baddie, and they sit around and wait for this Kryn to arrive. Meanwhile, the USS Intrepid warps in, and instead of transporting over, they send a shuttle of security officers, which is strange. Shaw is very happy about Picard and Riker facing their comeuppance. And guess who's in charge of the security team?
Oh, well, yes, it's Ro Laren.
Commander Ro Laren.
Commander, yes.
Whoa. I remember that Ro became Maquis, but I didn't realize that the wounds were still open in this double betrayal between two persons. I was shocked at how angry Picard was to see Ro truly losing his cool.
And Terry Matalas made a comment about this was something that he really wanted to get closure on. This was something that was so unresolved for him as a fan that he wanted to bring Ro back to bring closure to this relationship.
Well, we got closure and then some. We might want to queue up Faith of the Heart for later. We still have that. 7 is told by Picard to get Jack out of sight because Picard feels like people are looking for Jack and wants to keep him safe. And Ro indicates that she is running the investigation and that the charge might be treason. So 7 gives Jack a disguise, a Starfleet uniform. Oh no, not like the dream I had where I was killing people in a Starfleet uniform, Jack thinks to himself but does not say out loud. And Picard and Ro go at it in a conference room, and they're, you betrayed me, no, you betrayed me, you never saw me, you never saw me. But during this conversation, Picard does notice that Ro Laren is not wearing her Bajoran earrings, which is a major part of her character. While that's happening, Beverly is going through the changeling body and realizing that these changelings are not like the ones from Deep Space Nine that turn into a delicious looking golden liquid, like a big honey that you would eat if you were a bear with your paws, but rather, though this changeling has died, it is not returned to its liquid state, and beneath the skin, it is not changeling fluid, but rather blood and bone and plasma. It seems human, except there's no DNA. So now we know they can pass the scanner, and that's how they got through. And also that explains why they turn into a goo that looks like wet meat as opposed to honey. Jack is wandering through the ship. He goes into the transporter section and tries to get the chief to get him off the ship, but not to the USS Intrepid, where all the crew are being offloaded in order to alleviate the Titan of its major crew since it's going under repairs. He has a fantasy where he shoots the guy, but then he doesn't shoot the guy, and then he just leaves. Worf and Raffi finally confront this Kryn character down on Matalas IV. He is a very evil Vulcan type, and this Kryn character seems to see through the ruse that Worf and Raffi have laid, because Raffi was a hologram and was laying in wait in a sniper position, but Kryn takes out the hologram and they capture Raffi and they bring them together, and we'll come back to that in a second. So, knowing that these changelings can now change not just into a gold fluid, its evolution, Beverly calls while Ro and Picard are in the room talking to each other and sends that information to Picard confidentially. Now Picard starts to worry about who Ro is. Maybe this Ro is a changeling. And Ro says we're going to go to sickbay and take a look at this changeling. But then as they're going there, Ro holds a phaser on Picard and takes him into the holodeck, and they go into Guinan's bar, and Picard turns off the safety settings and he takes out a phaser from behind the bar, and then they're facing each other and they yell at each other, and then because they're both in so much pain, they realize, aha, we're both the real people that we are because we're so flawed, which is brilliant if Terry Matalas was trying to, he wove that into the idea of trying to figure out if these are the real people by showing that those wounds were still there. And it's a vehicle for them to then open up, because Ro then explains she has discovered that Starfleet is compromised at the highest level in a world. Yeah, it's already gone away. This is what happens. You talk and my cool voice goes away. The Kryn, the evil Vulcan warlord gangster, makes Worf and Raffi fight to the death. They fight in a mirror of the scene where we first saw them sparring, and Raffi gets the upper hand on Worf and stabs him, and he bleeds out and dies. And it was confirmed by one of the Kryn's gangster people, and they drag Worf away. And then Kryn tries to intimidate Raffi into joining his organization, only to discover that Worf is not dead, that in fact he has mastered this new Vulcan-esque Klingon. Worf has mastered the meditations of Kalesh, and so is able to make his heart appear as if it has stopped. But he has bled out quite a bit, and they are able to get some information from this Kryn about the Daystrom, how he helped Sneed and the changelings break into the Daystrom Institute, because it is protected by an AI that has some very illogical flaws. Now, tinfoil time?
Absolutely.
Is this AI Moriarty? Maybe that's how we get Moriarty involved? Do you
Maybe,
already know?
yeah. No, I don't know.
Oh.
I think you might be right. And I was thinking about this. We haven't seen Moriarty yet, and we also haven't seen Carol Kane.
Indeed.
And we also haven't seen Geordi.
Right.
So we know that there are characters to come.
Yes, indeed. Oh, you think Geordi
So-
might be a Daystrom? Ooh. Stevie, you devious. You're tinfoil. You keep it secret, but you have tinfoil thoughts too. You have crazy theories.
I do. Well, I do. Yes, you're absolutely right. I do have crazy theories, but I try and keep mine under wraps until they might be even slightly credible.
Sure.
My tinfoil never involves Lorca.
Okay. You know what? We don't have to rehash this old argument, but could be Lorca there. Maybe he
Could
fell
be.
to thinking, went slightly further into the future than Discovery went, but not all the way to the Discovery future. And so now he's working at Daystrom Institute. All right, fine. Probably that's not true. Meanwhile, Ro is informing Picard that there are probably changelings on the USS Intrepid, and asks Picard about Frontier Day, and says that all the ships gathering all together could be an issue, and that there's been like 12 other changeling incidents, and that she's been rebuffed attempting to get to the higher levels of Starfleet to bring up that this might be an issue, and basically says, listen, I've taken most of the crew off of your ship, and you now have a skeleton crew. You need to take this USS Titan and run. I will try to distract the USS Intrepid. In parting, she gives him her Bajoran earring. And then Ro takes her team and leaves. But as she's leaving in the shuttle to head back to the USS Intrepid, the two security officers who had spent the whole time just looking around the ship for Jack, they plant a bomb on the shuttle and then beam out back to the USS Titan to finish their mission, because they are definitely changelings. Ro contacts them to let them know that this is happening. However, the changelings, 4 of them, confront Jack as he's walking down a corridor. Just dumb luck. And then Jack has his weird visions, and he sees the red door, and he hears the weird voice, and he goes into what I describe as a Manchurian Candidate mode. Or if you like, what was the movies with the guy Matt Damon, where he's a spy, but he doesn't know that he's a spy, and he has like superpowers?
Wait, you mean the Bourne Identity?
The Bourne
type stuff?
Identity, yes.
Yes. Okay.
I feel like
See,
that's
now I'm
what,
with you.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think that's what Jack has. Although he seems to know that something's going on. Anyway, he takes out all 4 of these changelings, lickety split, and pretty intense. Meanwhile, Ensign Ro, and former Ensign Ro, now Commander Ro Laren, is not able to get back to the ship. There's some sort of inhibitor in the way that prevents her from being beamed back aboard the Titan, and so she flies the ship that's about to explode into one of the nacelles of the USS Intrepid, and it explodes, and Ro Laren is no more. But that was all that they needed, because as the Intrepid gets on a war footing, the Titan is able to get warp back, and they are able to warp away. And so now they are truly on the run. The entire ship fugitives, even with Captain Shaw now, is up in the mess. Picard shows Riker Ro's earring. Riker realizes what it is, a data chip. They see it's got Ro's whole investigation going on, and lucky luck, lucky happy accident, an incoming message from Rose, who the agents that she mentioned when she was talking to Picard that she's handling, that are seeking the root of this corruption. And so when they accept the incoming message, they are confronted with none other than the warm and smiling and beautifully toothed face of Worf. Now,
Yes.
yes.
Worf has 100% been to the dentist.
Yeah, he went to the dentist. That's it. He just got his teeth fixed.
Just wanted to point that out. And I've done a comparison. Fun fact, if you are a fan of ours on Instagram, you will see a comparison between Worf of Season 1 and Worf now, where he has a completely different and clean set of gnashers.
I saw that just as I was waking up maybe 10 minutes ago. And I had another theory, very tinfoil, that maybe Klingons lose their battle teeth when they get older and get normal, like, nice teeth.
Oh, maybe.
That could be
I actually
cute.
noticed that his top teeth are the same. They're
Yes.
just everything's just been cleaned.
Yeah,
like
he's,
there's no
he's
like
definitely had a cleaning. Yeah, some fluoride and
yeah,
maybe some Crest white strips.
maybe some flossing because there's no meat tartare there that
I'm guessing he's probably just eating less gach and stuff like that.
Maybe.
He's probably just having more vegetables.
Absolutely. Maybe now with his whole like Vulcan meditation thing, he's gone vegan. Who knows?
I just feel like we know that the Vulcans, that the Klingons became warrior based, but they used to have other castes, and maybe Worf has started to discover the bright, shiny actor tooth warrior poet caste. I don't know. That's my theory. Anyway, we finally get a meetup of Worf and Riker and Picard, which is a nice moment. Cut away from that. Immediately, there's the 4 changelings in sickbay, and Jack comes in, and Beverly confronts Jack and says she knows something is up. She doesn't know exactly what's up, and she says he says he hasn't been sleeping. She says she knows. She reminds him that he used to have nightmares when he was young and would be afraid to sleep. So maybe this is not something is going on with Jack, obviously, but maybe it's not like a new thing. Maybe it's like something he was born to have, but that wouldn't make any sense. I don't know. I got to think about that one. And he says there might be something wrong with him, and Beverly says, we took out all 4 of these changelings a lickety split. How did you know they were changelings? And Jack says, I didn't. There might be something very wrong with me. And here ended episode 5 of season 3 of Star Trek Picard. Let's chat about that.
I say, darling, let's do a quick chat about that. Let's do.
Plenty to talk about. We've already discussed Worf's teeth, so what else would you like to discuss?
I just love that we're getting so much conflict with Picard. It's like conflict with Riker. He had conflict with Beverly. He's got conflict with Jack. A poor guy. I feel like he needs therapy every episode.
Yes.
For all of the conflict.
Deanna has been trying to get him to do therapy for the entirety of the original TNG series, and he was always like, Doctor, I just have tea and I'm fine. You know, he hasn't had tea in quite some time. We haven't seen him ask for an Earl Grey hot for in a minute.
I think they've been too busy to stop for a cup of Earl Grey.
That's why he's all over the place. He's got to sit down. He needs to sit down in a ready room and drink his Earl Grey hot and come up with a plan. Yeah, no, there's so much conflict for Picard. And yeah, and then Ro is like the straw that breaks the camel's back. This is too much, because this is true conflict. And we also got that concept of there's a hinted at, very non-American, very esque hint at a father-daughter relationship there that went astray. I feel like in an American series, they would have been like, you were like a father to me, you were like a daughter to me, and you broke my heart. But here they were like, there was much.
I feel like Picard's getting that through the whole of this new franchise. In season 2 and 1, actually, with Elnor.
Yeah.
Like, he had that very fatherly relationship.
Yes.
He somewhat got it with 7.
Yeah.
And he had a little bit of fatherly relationship with his great-great-grandmother, Renee Picard. There was a moment where he was talking to her to get her back into Starfleet. But he definitely, he's got that fatherly energy that everyone loves, but we're exploring the hard side of it.
And you're right. Also with, oh boy, I'll never remember their names now. Data's kids. Daj and Suji? Soji?
Yes, Soji. Good job.
There was big uncle energy there in that first season.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of big uncle energy. Let's see. Oh, yes, the changeling thing. Because remember last episode I was saying, I was like, man, the changelings in DS9 turned into honey. They went into a little pot. And why do these look like wet, ground up meat?
Wet meat.
Garbage.
Yeah.
And apparently we had it explained here by Beverly saying that this is some sort of evolution. They're now able to mimic not only the outward appearance, but also the inward workings, like organs and blood and tissue of beings. So I still don't understand the whole thing with Vadic's hand being a communicator device. That's nothing. That has no precedent in DS9.
I have no idea. Unless she's not a changeling.
Just her hand is a changeling?
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. But how many changelings have we seen shot and killed? Because I thought the guy who attacked Jack, I thought he died.
He did.
But they didn't examine his body.
Oh, wait. No. The guy that touched Jack did eventually die. First he ran away, and then 7 was able to kill that one when it was posing as Ensign LaForge. And that's the one.
So that one became Ensign LaForge. Okay, got it. So I was like, wait.
It was like 3 or 4 different people. That's the whole thing that changed. But
got it.
That one, okay. Then there's the one that Worf and Raffi killed that they interrogated. And now I think just the 4 that came from the Intrepid. right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is getting to be a bit like a Mission Impossible kind of very complicated storyline. It's only going to get weirder. Trust no one. I got to say, this whole time I've been thinking that Shaw might be a changeling. So, bang ding 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 Buddha. Wait, is that James Bond? Was I just singing James Bond?
That was James Bond, yeah.
God, what's the
Good
Mission
job.
Impossible? Dun 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 dun.
Ba 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 ba. Anyway, a little bit there for you.
Sexy, yeah.
That's royalty free. I can't get sued.
Yeah, sure. We already discussed my theory that the AI protecting the Daystrom Institute might be a repurposed Moriarty brain, which maybe we'll find out. Seems like there's going to be a heist of the Daystrom Institute now. Yes?
I think so.
Maybe.
I mean, didn't they do that already? Wasn't that what they stole?
No, but I mean,
heist?
by Picard, Worf, Raffi, I think we're going to get the band together and maybe take on Daystrom to break in to find out what was stolen. Although, wait, that's what Ro told them to find another way to do. I don't know. And then we'll find out what's the deal with Jack. Is he programmed? Is he brainwashed? Is he not Jack? Is he a changeling?
Is he not human?
Is he not human? Yeah. The veins, the weird red veins thing in Beverly's voice is very confusing. We don't have confirmation that his eyes actually turn red when he sees the red door, but having watched many TV series and movies where someone is brainwashed to be a super assassin or whatever, that like the door opening thing and them tapping into a crazy knowledge of martial arts it's like a rote. So I feel like that's probably what happened here. But how? He was like a doctor. Oh, maybe at this tin foil time. He went to school in London. Maybe he was trained to be an assassin. But they hid his, stay with me, they hid his ability to know that he's an assassin by making him, yeah, that's how I pronounce it, by making it a thing that he can only access through a certain, like in times of trouble. The same way that Daj did in the first series. Like she activated when they killed her boyfriend when they were making out in episode 1.
Okay, yes.
That's my theory. I'm sticking to it. I'm sticking to it.
I hear you. I think he's an asset, but why do the changelings want him?
Who have infiltrated Starfleet want Jack, and what do they want him for?
I know something about him.
But he's been prepared to take on the changelings. He took on 4 of them as an assassin. So
maybe that's why they want to get him.
Just because he's a changeling assassin?
Yes.
Oh boy. Do we have Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, as always, to Set Phasers. We go immediately to the Easter egg desk with Stevie Mans. Stevie Mans, what have you got for us today?
Well, hi there, Akie. How you doing? It's Stevie Benz here on the set of Star Trek Picard Season 3, Episode 5, Imposters.
I don't know. My voice impersonations change from day to day.
I love it.
Did you spot anything? I just want to give you the opportunity before.
Did I spot anything in my hotel room on Friday night? No, not at all.
The episode begins with what sounds like the 1960s classic Enterprise bridge bleep-dee-dee bloops.
Oh, really?
If you noticed that, yes, we had some bleepity bloops. One might think this is out of place for the 25th century starships of Picard, but showrunner Terry Matalas clarified that the Starfleet of this era is in a retro period when it comes to this design. Now, at the beginning of Season 3, Matalas told Variety magazine that the design of the Titan and other ships is intentionally a callback to the look and feel of the late 23rd century Kirk era of the classic films. And he said, I couldn't help but notice how many cars have gone retro these days. And I remember as I was driving around, I thought, what if Starfleet did that? So
Love it.
it was very intentional to have some of these throwbacks. And I think when we go back to, I can't remember quite which episode it was, where Picard and Riker went onto the Titan, we had that.
Yeah, the bosun's whistle.
Yeah,
Very
thank you, the
60s,
bosun's
yeah.
whistle. Indeed.
Wow.
So lots of retro throwbacks. We had an acting captain's log. So while Picard ended last week's episode with an admiral's log, this week begins with an acting captain's log, which is the first time a voiceover log from Riker has opened any Star Trek episode since The Next Generation.
Correct.
Riker mentions that the ship has limped to the edge of the Alpha Quadrant, which should remind us that the Riton system was not in Federation space.
Indeed.
Worf says that the Daystrom the Daystrom station is guarded by a sophisticated AI system, which you mentioned. And later in the episode, Vulcan crime lord Kryn says the flaws in the system are most illogical.
I'm waving my hand. An oral
tin
medium,
foil?
but I'm waving my hand.
We know that the Daystrom Institute played a big role in Picard Season 1, and the name of the Daystrom Institute goes all the way back to the original series episode, The Ultimate Computer. And in Discovery Season 2, there was a huge plot point about a sophisticated AI that ran amok.
Yes,
Ran amok.
control.
Amok. But the illogical flaws in the system could be a clue to an entirely different story later in the season, which we hypothesized with Moriarty. The mobile emitters. Yes, when Worf and Raffi confront Kryn, Raffi uses a mobile emitter to his hologram of herself. The mobile emitter tech itself originates from Star Trek Voyager, the episode The Future's End Part 2.
Oh, wow.
And was mostly used by the Doctor, as we know, which is rather fun. Shaw's list of hilarious TNG antics was rather enjoyable.
Very good, yes.
Let's see, that time someone hot dropped the saucer section of the Enterprise D on a planet.
Yeah.
Referring to Star Trek Generations. That time someone threw the Prime Directive out the window so they could snog a villager on Baku.
Wow.
I've never heard non-Brit say snog.
It's very weird.
Snog.
I went back and rewound that a couple times. It's very
It's
funny,
good.
especially for a
Yeah.
grease monkey from Chicago or whatever he's supposed to
Exactly, to say snog. I've still never heard Americans use the term snog because most of them don't know what it means. That was from Star Trek Insurrection.
Yeah.
Let's see, the time you boys nearly wiped out all of humanity by creating a time paradox in the Devron system, referring to the TNG series finale, All Good Things.
Yes.
So that was fun. I
That
enjoyed
was
that. I think
very good.
Shaw's really enjoying these throwbacks to our TNG era.
Yes. Shaw's really a big fan of Riker and Picard, even though he hates them. He's very well read on their
He really
shenanigans.
is. Yes. So Ro Laren, obviously, biggest Easter egg there. It's so obvious it's not an Easter egg. Michelle Forbes returns as Ro Laren for the first time since a TNG episode Preemptive Strike. I believe that was season 7.
I
Going with
believe
that.
so, because doesn't Ro come on like season 5?
Yep, I think she does. So she's in it for a couple of seasons. In that episode, Ro defected to the Maquis, a group of freedom fighters who we also see in Voyager. And these freedom fighters opposed the Federation's decision to hand over certain planets to the Cardassians.
Yes.
Which seems very controversial. And this episode is heavily referenced right down to Jean-Luc noting that Ro pulled a phaser on Riker the last time he saw her.
Yes.
Now, Ro first appeared in the TNG episode Ensign Ro, and was a series semi-regular, somewhat like Keiko Guinan and Miles O'Brien. And again, you were correct, season 5. Picard and Riker initially opposed her wearing her Bajoran earring, which became a bit of a plot point in this episode. And Jean-Luc pulls a phaser on Ro in the holodeck, and he says, you do remember Guinan, don't you? And do you remember that really fun episode, Rascals, that's what it was called, when they were both turned into children through a transporter accident?
Oh my God.
I forget who the third person, but was it Picard as well?
Yeah, I remember.
Picard,
this.
Ro, and Guinan. And it was really fun, and Guinan was just like, yeah, we're kids again, let's play.
Yeah. Oh,
enjoyed that.
man. Wow.
Maybe we have a Zoom watch party
I
and
want
we
to
watch
watch
some
that
of
one.
the...
It's been forever. Wait,
Rascals
what's
one.
that one called? Brats?
That was called Rascals.
Oh, because they're little rascals. You little rascals.
I think we ought to watch Preemptive Strike again as well. The last Ro
Don't
episode
tempt me with a good
in
time.
TNG. Indeed. But of course, the biggest shock of the episode was Ro Laren's death, which is really ironic because she dies trying to save Starfleet, an organization that sent her to prison twice.
Yes. Yes. Not unlike
yeah.
a hero we know from Star Trek Discovery. Ro
Indeed.
Laren's arc. It's very Michael Burnham-esque.
Very Michael Burnham-esque. She also dies in a shuttlecraft. And actually, in her last appearance in TNG, she and Riker were in a shuttle together before she left Starfleet.
Yeah.
So she is the first time a major TNG character has been killed on screen since Data in Nemesis. And if we consider her a major TNG
And
character,
I do.
Okay, I think I do too.
Come on,
She's
everyone.
certainly big plot points there.
Yeah.
But I do think it's very unlikely that she will come back from the dead or be resurrected in any way like Brent Spiner has so many times. So I don't know. I think this sacrifice is very real. It's very grounded. And I think it will go down in Trek history as one of the most talked about deaths.
Mm.
What do you think?
I agree. I feel like we should give her a proper send-off. Commander Ro Laren. We remember when you first boarded the Enterprise, you caused a stir. Your earring was not official dress code, but you showed such great promise that even the cold heart of Jean-Luc Picard was inspired to take you under his wing as a mentor. And I think there was even a weird thing between you and Riker, which is gross to remember, and I don't
Oh,
want
yes,
to
they
think
did
about
have a
it too
thing.
hard.
Yes, they did. Anyway.
Ugh. Anyway, you joined the Maquis, but then you rejoined Starfleet, and then you uncovered a thing, and you died in the line of duty, saving the galaxy. And that makes you have faith of the heart.
It's a bit long. I'll keep
Sorry.
it. That works.
I was talking. As I was talking, I remember the thing with Riker, and I was like, oh yeah, gross.
Yeah, gross. Akie, that is everything here from the Easter egg desk. It is back to you in the studio.
Thank you very much. So much appreciated, Stevie. And let's go immediately now to Quotable Moments.
Quotable moments.
Quotable moments. I really enjoyed when Worf and Raffi go back to District 6 and everybody runs away from them because they're now super badass and they become the alphas of District 6. And Raffi says, you know what? Sometimes work is fun. Oh, yes. You recounted this in Easter eggs. Obviously, when the USS Intrepid comes in and they're worried about whether or not they're going to be like in trouble, Riker says, we saved the galaxy more than a few times. And Picard says, hopefully they'll remember. And then Shaw recounts the 3 major times that the Enterprise has had an issue and says, basically, when it comes to rescues from danger, you two have had a real chicken and egg thing happening. And then walks off, and Picard leans over to Riker and says, those were the days. Sweet. It's a very sweet moment.
That was sweet. I like that.
Yeah. It's snogging a villager on Baku.
Yes. Snog a villager. That's very good. I had one. Raffi and Worf are chatting. They're arguing, and Worf goes, "Rah!" and he throws his knife on the floor, and Raffi goes, "Can you not put holes in my floor every time you need to make a point?"
That's a good one. I'm sorry that I didn't write that. That was a solid moment there. Worf losing his cool. He's always throwing knives to end an argument. Yeah, I've achieved balance, but whenever he doesn't want to talk about something, he throws a knife at someone's feet.
Indeed.
Oh. Who says this? Does Worf say, the natural evolution of pride is downfall? That's heavy. It's heavy stuff. And then finally, when Picard and Ro have their standoff in the holodeck, and they're both angry at each other, and then they realize that they're both who they say they are, it's Picard who says, if this pain tells us anything, it is that we are who we say we are. I think that's all I got.
All right. Shall we
Let's go to
move on to next time?
Next time. Special next time?
Ooh, special next time.
Next time on Set Phasers.
My God,
Oh,
so
that's so
triumphant.
much more fun, isn't it?
Next time on Set Phasers, we will talk about episode 6 of season 3 of Star Trek Picard, entitled The Bounty. If you've enjoyed this program, we enjoy that program. If you've enjoyed Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast, please find us wherever you get your podcasts. We have several back episodes of shows from Discovery to Picard to Lower Decks to Strange New Worlds, and we should cover all the new Trek there is to cover in the years
Yes.
to come.
Yes, we should.
You're just rocking out over there.
I am. I'm not paying attention at all. Yes. Volume. Right, and go to patreon.com/setphasers. Join us on patreon.com/setphasers, where we will watch episodes of Ensign Ro Laren next Sunday. We were going to do a Zoom hang, but why not? Let's do double TNG fun.
Love
and maybe a Zoom hang after. But we would love to see you there at patreon.com/setphasers. And yes, Akie, you can tell the people about the things where they can see our stuff.
You can see our stuff if you're looking for it. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Set Phasers Podcast. You can find us on YouTube. I think it's youtube.com/setphasers
Yes.
pod.
Yes.
I'm just getting a nod. I can't tell when you're nodding to the music or nodding to me, and it doesn't
Sorry.
matter. Yes, you can. Yes, do check us out on Instagram. Meme Game Strong. It's all Stevie. And do we have any? Is there any other place?
No,
That's it.
I don't think so. What else do we do next time? But that's all from us. I am Stevie Mans.
And I am throwing out the prime directive so I can snog a villager on Baku.
I love that.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. And this has been Morning Voice.
Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast.
Well then, computer, end program. I have to figure out how to get the hell out of this. Wait. Oh crap, it's starting again! Stop. Wait, get to the end. Wait.
All right.